market, right? The Wuhan seafood market. Nope, didn't come from there. And so every answer the CCP has proposed on where the virus came from has been proven to be fake. And if the individual trying to tell you, where it came from, and they keep lying to you, and they keep telling you you're not allowed to look here, you're not allowed to look into this part, and that person keeps lying to you, you're probably going to start thinking maybe it came from that part, right? And then what's happening is every piece of evidence does lead back to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. I'd say process of elimination, many people are now believing, okay, it probably came from the Wuhan Institute of Virology. In fact, we're even now finding that U.S. government research covered up until now actually suggested that was the most plausible answer. And I believe what happened was it was too politically sensitive because it has a lot of implications on blaming the Communist Party of China for this whole thing, and it makes them look bad.
To your point, Joshua, up until now is what you highlight. What role do you think the previous administration's policies played while working with major social media platforms like Facebook, like others, to censor COVID-related information? And what is the actual fallout and the damage because of this?
That's the challenge you have when you try to manage who is credible and who is not credible. What had happened was this. The main authority that was established on, COVID-related issues was basically the World Health Organization. The Trump administration, through review, found the World Health Organization could not demonstrate independence from the Chinese Communist Party. We also know there was the Proximal Origins paper, right, NIH and stuff like that. And their own discussions, now, again, shown to the public, but hidden from us for a very long time, it showed that backroom discussions had actually discussed lab leak as being a plausible theory, probably the most plausible, and they covered it up. You were not allowed to question it. And so, what happens when you have a narrative that you're not allowed to question, and there's an entire censorship system set up to go after anybody who does? Well, that has the effect of suppressing valid journalism, of legitimate information. I think it was really damaging.
Yeah, the question of who's watching the Watchmen and when that actually comes true, and then the skepticism and the fallout, it really undermines a lot of our institutions and causes a lot of disbelief, which can be very damaging all the way down the line.
Well, and then people come to conclusions on why it was suppressed, and then that's when you have conspiracy theories, whatever else. It was a self-feeding machine that was really, really harmful, in my opinion.
Absolutely. The White House, the current White House, is acknowledging that the WHO's response to COVID-19 actually reflects deep influence from the Chinese Communist Party. How did pressure from China, in your opinion, shape this narrative, and has anything changed since within the WHO since then?
This is what I've been reporting from the get-go. Case in point of people who were censored. I was attacked a lot for saying this. The World Health Organization was investigated by the Trump administration during his first term in office. Again, COVID went into the Biden administration, and so a lot of that ended, right? But before Trump left office, they did an investigation into whether the World Health Organization was actually making decisions independent of the Chinese Communist Party. They demonstrated the WHO was not able to demonstrate independence from the CCP. And part of what we saw happen with COVID response was that the narratives were effectively the Chinese Communist Party narratives. The guardrails on investigation were effectively the guardrails on investigation from the Chinese Communist Party. And most importantly, the efficacy of response was based on the China model. And we know they were lying. So what was the Chinese Communist Party doing? It was doing lockdowns. It was doing economic shutdowns. It did, vaccine mandates. It was locking people in their homes. It was carrying out really totalitarian policies. And someone also argued the CCP managed to offset its own economic downturn for several years by basically shutting down the global economy and then telling foreign investors, China fixed the problem, come and put your money in China. And they lured in foreign investment and foreign business by doing that, although they, again, continued to lock down afterwards, even after saying that, everything worked. And that was why you had publications like New York Times, eating out of their hands all the time. declaring to the world, the China model, state capitalism, as they called it, which is just communism, effectively. It means the state has seized the systems of capitalism, meaning communism. They say state capitalism was shown as the working model against COVID. That was the narrative, totalitarian communism, the working model against it. The World Health Organization then adopting all of the policies and all of the recommendations from the CCP, basing their response model on their model, and then recommending that as the response to every other country on Earth. And so the whole world followed what was not a functioning model on the recommendations of the WHO, which was basing its recommendations on the lies of the Chinese Communist Party.
It really is remarkable to me that the CCP has managed to escape and be let off the hook to the extent that they have for, like you mentioned, allowing the virus to leave while locking down internally. Senior investigative reporter and host of Crossroads at the Epoch Times, Joshua Phillip. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
And the People's Party was right at that time. And now, we need to have that moratorium. And the mainstream media are not speaking about mass immigration because they don't want that to be an important discussion during that election. Shame on them.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Talk to you soon. Best of luck.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you.
Hostages being released, terrorists resurfacing, Gaza plans, and so on. But there's one thing we tend to overlook: the people of Israel. The war has taken a huge physical and emotional toll on our Jewish brothers and sisters. And that's why I want you to know about the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. I want you to support the important work that they do. IFCJ is on the ground throughout Israel, providing food and life-saving aid to the sick and elderly, even released hostages and their families. Join me and visit ifcj.org/learn more.
Believe there's a supernatural world of activity all around us? We're going to find out today by talking with Lee Strobel, who will share his results from investigating many of these claims.